Hello YouTube. Hello Facebook. Now I might go a little bit in depth about what I talked in the latest video about climaxing and how come women only climax to their husband. And that's because women are meant to be an extension of the husband, a slave of their husband. When Mary said, "I am the slave of the Lord," and she also says, "My soul magnifies the Lord." She's an extension of the Lord. A woman's an extension of the husband. The husband is the head. The woman's an extension of the head, of the body, like the church. You know, the man is the head of the woman, and it is, and it always will be. If you don't want to be the servant of the man, then don't get married. But then if you end up having sex and getting pregnant, end up probably having an abortion, or living a miserable life as a single mom. And that is not a healthy situation for the kids. Now, the reason the woman only climaxes to the husband, a real husband, through the church, is because her body is already part of the husband's body. Her body only reacts to his body, to his organism, and that is the way God intended it to be. And he intended for marriage since day one of creation. God created Eve out of Adam, out of his flesh. And when a woman becomes a wife, she becomes his flesh. Now, not only did I can only climax to my husband, but my period stopped when my period stopped working when he got it is paralyzed. My body said this guy's not working anymore because his body wasn't healthy. My body stopped being healthy because we were connected. We were one, and my period said no more, and my cycle ain't gonna work for nobody else, and only my husband. And if he's not healthy enough, then I ain't having no kids. And because our bodies were connected, my cycle stopped working because I was his body. My husband ended up in a wheelchair because of me. I was his body. I committed the sin of sacrilege, and he paid for it because he's the head. He's in charge. He has to. He has to pay for my sin, and he had to sacrifice so I wouldn't go to hell. And God made it that way because not only one we're connected, and his body was my body, and I was his body, but he wanted me to survive to tell the story. If not, both of us probably would have gone to hell. God made it possible that we survive the temptations. But even though I fell, my husband was there to support me that I didn't go to hell, but I ended up in a wheelchair. Also, I had an impurity problem ever since I got married. And the reason I had an impurity problem, a masturbation problem, is because I was married and I was horny for my husband. And the only thing I can think about was being with my husband, but I didn't have a chance till after he was in the wheelchair to be with him. I didn't have intercourse with him. I tried, but he was paralyzed and impotent but even touching him helped me out cool down because I even if I was with other men, it was adding gasoline to the fire. And I stopped having the impurity problem after my husband passed away because there was no need for me to be like that, to be horny. And every time I was with my husband, I was just lit up. And uh, I will be attracted to other men, but not like the way I was to my husband. And like I said, I got married on my first date, no high school diploma, no driver's license, no love because I barely knew him. I didn't have a crush on him. I just got married. And he already had a baby mama. We weren't in love. We just he probably liked me and he decided to take me out. But he we got married and there was a woman that married us, and that's why I never knew I was married till after he went to heaven and everything fell in. All the all the clues came in, and I deducted that I was married to him. I was his wife, and I was a widow. And so psychologically I was affected too. Like I said in my previous video, I work for my husband for free. Now I didn't have a clue he was a kingpin. I didn't have a clue was my husband, and he was 2,000 miles away. Not have a clue what he did. The only time I noticed that he had a bunch of buddies, and sometimes they were dressed in red. And there were some clues, but not to the extent of his level of being a kingpin and controlling the cartel that sold drugs at my business that I employed too, and that we let associates help him out to deliver vegetables to the United States in truckloads of vegetables, and we were associates, and we were associates of the guy that helped us get cash. That was his biological brother, which I didn't know he was his biological brother till afterwards. The stepfather of his daughter that the baby mama kept secret and denied him the paternity, and his biological mother, which was a secret too. Yeah, I didn't find out till after he went to heaven. He told me, and she was giving us cash, and he was giving us cash for the business, 50K a week, up to $100,000 a month or more, and they will lend us up to $100,000 at a time, and the biological mother was sending money too to support him. And one time I got embarrassed. And how come this strange this strange lady, is sending the money? Well, because she was the biological mother, and she was making money off us, and I was making off money out of her. And the man is there to rule the woman when you get married. The woman subconsciously does the work for the man, and it is because she feels the urge to do it, to be there for her husband, and then subconsciously the body's programmed to do what the man needs and what the man wants. And and she could be like a dog. She can also have a 7 cents and say something's wrong, and she's not gonna let you do it. It's because she thinks it's not good for you, and that's the only reason she does it. Even though she contradicts you, is because she thinks it's not good for you. And she's like a dog. And then the reason she barks like a dog is because she needs attention. That's all she cares. That's all I care. When I got pissed because I wanted more attention from him. And because men have to think woman's like a dog. She's an extension of the man in a leash. And if he's not watching her, like me, he's gonna end up doing mistakes, and she's gonna end up injuring him because they're connected. And and and, uh, and that's all I wanted to say. The man is the head of the woman. The woman will crave her husband. That's in the Bible. And and Mary is an extension of God because she's the wife of God. She says, "I am the servant of the Lord." A woman's a servant of the husband, and she has a seventh sense as a wife, and she has a seventh sense as a mother, something that I don't have. It's a seventh sense of the mother. And mothers know that they have seven senses for their children. And Mary has a seven sense as a mother and as a wife of God. And and the Trinity also is connected. There's three figures, but they're connected subconsciously, biologically, and universally. And they all have the same power, but they're connected. And God the Father is the head of Christ. Christ subconsciously and consciously does work for the Father, even though they have the same amount of power. And that's how, and so does the Holy Spirit. And so that's why that's how the Trinity works. They're so connected. They're synchronized. They're one, and so is the wife and the husband are one. If you get married to the church, if you have probably a Jewish wedding, maybe an Orthodox wedding. I don't know about Protestant, but definitely Catholic and definitely Orthodox weddings and definitely Jewish weddings are legit. But if Catholic Church says the Protestant churches are legit, then get married to the Protestant church and make it permanent too. And once you get connected, there's no verse in the Bible that disconnects you. You're connected for life. Even after life, you're still responsible for them. God made me responsible for my husband because I was responsible for him at his judgment. And I can petition for him. And I got him out of purgatory too, through indulgence and through prayer and through communion that I did every day, that I never did for any other relative of mine, only my husband. And why? Not because he was my boyfriend, it was because he was my husband. If he was my boyfriend, I'd probably give two toots about him. And so, that's what I wanted to say. And thank you for watching. Please go subscribe and share. Maybe I will. I typed out all the stuff that God revealed to me. I expanded it through with theology, Catholic basic catechism, and a lot of Protestants can enjoy it too because West theology, you can't go wrong. and it's God's word that I'm expanding on what He told me via the sacrament of Eucharist, and that He showed me His scars, and that He revealed Himself to me, and that was because I was married. He gave me this marriage, a blind marriage, so I can learn about marriage, to know the secrets of marriage, to know His creation. And that was mercy. That was very kind of the Lord, and I can kiss His feet because there's a lot of families nowadays. It's like an epidemic that they're so separated now, and men paying child support, and men paying alimony, and I'm being able to have a second chance of life, not having a life, and the wife raising the kids by herself. And kids in the middle, they have to pay for it. And then this why there's so many abortions, because women don't have the support of the husband anymore. Women to say, well, I don't even have a babysitter. A woman can work and support herself, but if she doesn't even have a babysitter, she's screwed. Even if the guy's a stay-at-home dad, like my sister's, her husband doesn't work. He's a stay-at-home dad. He babysits the kids, and she works, and she's the one that supports the husband. And but she has a home for her husband, and that's because she did it the right way. She got married to the church, and she, like, I kid you not, she studied women studies in the university. That's a really feminist, pro-abortion, pro-feminist. I don't cook for your husband studies. And she cooks, cleans, and supports her husband. She's the one that works. But she got married. She got the tape on. And my other sister was super lazy too. And she cooks, cleans, she raises her son, and she's very clean. Even though she was super lazy, she wouldn't. She her room used to be a jungle when she was growing up, and I thought she was gonna be a sloppy woman when she got married. No, surprise, surprise. She got the woman's tape, the wife's tape, and she has her house very clean. And maybe you can see a lot of examples in society of women getting married to the Catholic Church. The families are happy. They're together. They work like they're supposed to. And women support their husbands. They're not lazy. They either work and support him, or they still stay at home moms and they have side hustles. They're not lazy, and they're an extension of the husband. They're not just me. They're an extension, and it's permanent because God makes it permanent through marriage. He gives you that love. The love I had the love from my husband that I didn't have when I got married because it was my first date. I barely knew the guy, and we had a love for each other to leave in after death. A strong love, a love to the bone, and in the sexuality of the marriage and the woman is heightened, and she can only climax with her husband. That's it. She can't climax with any other man, because even if she cheats, because you told her to leave, like my husband did to me, she's not gonna feel nothing. She's gonna miss you, and she's not gonna feel nothing with a guy, even if his dick is bigger. She's not gonna feel nothing, nothing, and you're gonna have control over her 100%. Man, he had control of me 100%, 100%, and I learned this 2,000 miles away from him. I still work for him. I invested in the company. I work for free, and that was because this company was supporting my husband. They were selling drugs, and he was the kingpin. And and then when I went back with him, I turned back to God. Marriage is to get you saved. Marriage is a tool God uses for salvation. Like every other sacrament, it's a tool for salvation. It's a tool for procreation, so women can be horny, and she likes the sex because she gets climax. So she can have a lot of kids. God's meant to have a lot of kids. Why? Because it's better for society to have whole families. And it's better, and even better nowadays, farmers don't know what to do with the food. They're throwing it away. They're going bankrupt. And if our farmers go bankrupt, we're not going to have any food because they're the only ones with the knowledge how to grow the food. And if they go bankrupt, nobody else is going to know how to do what the farmer does. Nobody. People in the city are not going to know when to put fertilizer, when to plant. They're not going to know. They're going to read it off a package. You're going to have to go to school for 6 years, college, and you're still not going to know the its and bits. And people are going to starve. Why? Because they're not having kids. They're having all these abortions, and now nobody's eating the food. And the food doesn't cost any. They're not even breaking even. They're losing money. And there's something to think about it. And we're not going to have people to wipe our butt. And so that's all I wanted to say. God meant women to get married to the husband, to climax to the husband, to perform to the husband, to be connected to the husband, to be one like God is. And he meant for us to procreate, not to have abortions. So we can eat the food, so we can grow, so they can have economies grow to be out there to the max. And then yes, there's gonna be poor people because he wants to try us to see that we have the heart to help out each other because our image is a God. He wants to try us our love. And there's plenty of food to go around. This we can grow more if we're max out on food, which is impossible. God can give us creative ways to grow it. He'll give us the idea. You have to rely on God. And people have lost faith in God. This is why we ended up in the big mess that we have. And then nowadays, we're close to an election, people. Vote Republican. Don't vote Democrat. They have no clue. They're freaking atheists. They're atheists. They don't believe in God. I saw God. And they don't believe in God and they don't know how to run this world. They ruined it. They're going backwards. And they can't get any more stupider. You can't vote for them. They're gonna ruin this. They're gonna ruin the world. You have to rely on God and max out people and grow food and eat the food and have teenagers that will eat the food and wipe your butt and produce to make the economies bond. And that's all I wanted to say.